Hello everyone and welcome back to Greenpine Zoo and Gardens. I am back after a short holiday in Austria. So last week we did a little tour through our little zoo, and today we are going to continue to build with our next project that is going to be a little bit bigger than I thought in the beginning, so this will take us some time as well, I guess, but by far not as much as our cat house did. By far. Well, as you can hear in my voice, maybe I am sick again. Surprise! I caught a cold. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because the weather in Germany is just crazy. It's one day we have almost 40 degrees and the other day it's like 13 or 15 degrees, rainy and cold and like autumn, and I don't know. I caught a cold. That's it. But I'm already feeling a little bit better. It all started on Friday with a massive headache and my throat was hurting and burning like fire. So this is gone by now, just runny nose and a little bit of a cough. And I think in a few days I'm back to normal again. So, what are we going to do today? First of all, because of the cold, it could be that I'm not going to talk the whole video, so it might be that a big point of the video is just music. I hope you guys are not mad about that. I think you won't be. Okay, so we are going to build a house once again. I told you guys that I wanted to build a habitat for the Indian rhino combined with the nilgai and the black buck. Therefore, I decided, we are going to have a house for the rhinos. A house in which our guests can walk into and see the rhinos in their indoor enclosure, and that is what we are going to create today. We're not going to finish it completely, but we are going to have a complete house. We're going to have a complete roof on the house. All we have to do in the next episode is going into the details a little bit, and I'm going to show you something in a few minutes when we are getting further along, because I need your help. I built something and I don't know what to do with it. So therefore I'm going to need your help. But first of all, I laid down the ground structure of the building. It might look a little bit weird and something like an extraterrestrial thing. I don't know if you know the movie Signs. It's an old movie. If you're not as old as I am, you maybe don't know the movie, but that's totally fine. It was about those circular shapes in cornfields that were made by aliens and whatsoever. So so that is what I wanted to say, that this whole thing looks a little bit like that. But in the end it all will make total sense. The outer circle should be the keeper's path, where the keepers can walk along and not going into the actual habitat of the rhinos. The inner circle is going to be the indoor habitat for the rhinos, which I'm going to do the border. That's the wrong word, but you know what I mean, which I'm doing the border right now. So the upper part here is the indoor enclosure for the rhinos. We are going to have two dry indoor enclosures, one for the male and one for the female, and we are going to have a pool indoor as well. That is on the upper part where you see, where it looks like the moon a little bit. There's going to be the indoor pool for the rhinos, because Indian rhinos love to Yeah, love to swim, love to lay in the water. I don't know about the African rhinos, the black and the white rhinos. I don't have a clue, but I think they are not as good in the water or not as much in the water as the Indians are. Yeah, I just think, what was I doing here? Yeah, this is because I needed to do the entrance for the house, where we are going to have the path for our visitors. So therefore I laid these concrete wall pieces down so that I have some kind of a measurement. But why do I have another circle on top of it? Ah, yeah, I do know. It's going to be deleted in a few seconds. So yeah, because we just needed it at the lower part. It also looks a little bit... can you remember the Chromatica era from Lady Gaga? It almost looks like a symbol of the Chromatica era, doesn't it? And also a little bit like a doll. With a not so nice haircut. With a not so nice haircut that is very popular right now. I don't know, have you seen it? There are some sportsmen, footballer or soccer players that are wearing those hair. Yeah, I just don't know. It's awful. So the next thing, and this is a very interesting part. The next thing is creating the roof. You will say creating the roof by doing a circle shape on the bottom of the building? Yes, because it will make total sense in a few seconds. But first of all, we have to rotate this a little bit. Here you can see what I'm trying to go for. Yeah, that's exactly what we are going to do. So therefore we need to have a circle shape once again. For the concrete pieces, a little bit bigger than the actual indoor of our building. Select everything and connect it into a group, and then up with it. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, I copied those two building pieces on top of it just to see where I wanted the edge of the roof. And then lowering it a little bit down because we didn't want the building to be too high. But still able, when we are going for it, that it will be the perfect connection to the floor. You will see it in a few minutes. I wanted to have a glass roof on top of it, not the whole roof as a glass roof, just a little bit. In the end, the whole building looks a little bit like a UFO. And I really do like that. It reminds me a little bit of the Rhino house in my home zoo in Munich. That is also a little bit futuristic, even though it was built in the early 90s or late 80s, I think. But it is still very modern, up to date. And yeah, you'll see it. Yeah, that's exactly what we are going for right now. So just doing a little bit of decoration, because I wanted the roof to be a little bit green. We're going to have plants on it in next week's video, I think, when we are going to finish it. And building the outdoor habitats. And then we are going to have just one more glass piece in here as well. And on the other side as well. It's a little bit different on the other side because it is not totally symmetric, which bothers me a little bit, but in the end it looks completely fine and you won't see the difference at all. There you go. And now we can start to copy and rotate the pieces. Which is not always that easy, especially when you build something in a size like this. Especially when, you can only copy one piece. As you've seen, I tried to connect three pieces together and try to rotate them. Didn't work. It was totally off the grid, and so therefore I had to copy every little piece by itself. But you can see how beautiful and clean it looks. I am so happy with it. And I think this is going to be a cool building. A very cool building. Covering up the sides a little bit, because I wanted to have a different kind of roof or a different style or shape of the building in the beginning of the building. Didn't want it to be the complete same. It's another complete circle. Just the backside where we do have the rhino enclosure. So, and here's the part where I might need your help. Can you see the two spaces that we have right next to the entrance when you walk into the house, on the left side and on the right side? The first plan that I was having was that I wanted to have staff buildings in here, so that we do have a complete building with all that we need for the animals to take care of them, and to close it up completely. But then I started building and I started to create a glass wall on both of these sides, and I will end up having just a keeper hut in there, a small one, and also a staff room, and that's it. Nothing more than that. So we do have left some space on the left and on the right side of the building. And I was thinking this would be perfect for a habitat for some animals. Well, these are two very small habitats. So I was thinking, what animals could we put in here? Or could we maybe have an animal in here that could use both, so that we have something like an overpass that the animals can switch between the left and the right habitat. Let me tell you about some ideas that I had. So the first idea that I had was, why not have a habitat for the new monkeys that we got with the Asia DLC? The what were they called in English? Bearded monkeys? I don't know. What about those? We could easily have two indoor habitats connected with each other, and then try and build something like a gate where they could go to the outside and have somewhat like an island or something like that is in front of the rhino habitat, so that they can't go to the rhino habitat, but yeah, are somewhat connected to that. But I think it might be pretty difficult to do something like this. I don't know if this would work out. So the next idea that I had was, what about some tortoises? We could have the newer one from the, what was it? The Zookeeper's Animal Pack. Was it the African's bird tortoise? I think it was. And we could also have the Galapagos or Aldabra giant tortoise. But if we do something like that and we create an outdoor habitat, we might have some problems with the space. So I think we need to move the house if we are going to do that. Which I would not be too happy with that, but yeah, if it has to be like that, I'm okay with it. The other idea is, as we already had to deselect animal welfare, we could just go for it and have something like the armadillo in there on one side, and on the other side maybe the pangolin, or pangolin in both. Yeah, just let me know in the comment section what you guys think. It's a bit difficult. It is something that I didn't plan. Yeah, but here we are now. You can see both habitats right now, pretty perfect. The left and the right one right next to the entrance building. Well, tell me your ideas in the comment section, and I will be so happy to read all of them and find the perfect solution for this beautiful building. And I also have to think about the shelter for the antelopes. I think we're going to do that on the back side of the building. Yeah, trying to connect something to the building, or having something like, yeah, that's a good idea, having something like we already have for the water buffaloes and for the deer as well, so that we can tell a little bit of a story that this was also the old area where lots of hoofstock habitats have been. And as the zoo grew older, we decided to get rid of lots of the hoofstock, or relocated them to another part in the zoo, to the African savanna. Yeah, that's perfect. We relocated these animals to the African savanna, so we had the space in here for the rhinos, but we kept one of the stables for the antelopes where the black bucks and the nilgai do live, but we built the house for the rhinos in front of it, so that you can't actually see the shelter for the antelopes when you are visiting the zoo, so that you can only see the new and modern building and not the old and historical building for our antelopes. Yeah, I think that's a nice background story for that. And we're going to go for that. Once again, lots of glass in here. so that we do have enough light on the inside that it is not looking too dark. Yeah, these windows were a little bit difficult to build because sometimes they do overlap a little bit. I couldn't find a better solution, but you won't notice that once it is finished. You're not going to see that. And you probably wouldn't have seen it when I didn't tell you, so... Okay, so I guess the front of the building is finished. It looks a little bit like an opera house or like a theater or something like this. I really do like that. Yeah, now we can delete all the wall pieces that we don't need anymore. That is also something when you build something like this and you need those circle-shaped structures for creating the whole building. Only delete it once the building is finished and you don't need those structures anymore, because if you don't do that, if you delete it too soon, you're going to have problems later on when you would need some of the structures to create another wall piece or whatever, and once it is deleted you can't do it anymore. Yeah, now we don't need those wall pieces anymore as well. I decided I wanted to have the indoor enclosure for the rhinos a little bit bigger, the dry one, because it seemed pretty small, and I don't know how massive the traversable area for the animals is going to be. I assume it's going to be pretty big because they are base game animals and most of the base game animals are effed up. So the traversable area for those is totally messed up. And yeah, also I'm excited to have the Indian rhinos in here, but to be completely honest with you guys, I think the Indian rhinos is one of the worst animal models that we do have in the game. I just don't know what it is about them, but I really don't like them. They look so messed up. I think they are way too small. They just look like, yeah, like they are not fully grown up. Or what do you guys think? When I think of Indian rhinos, I always think of those that we do have in the zoo in Munich, and you can come pretty close to them because they do have a pool on their outdoor habitat that is right next to the visitors, and the male one always was in that pool during the daytime. And so you could come pretty close to them and then you could see how massive those animals are. I think, and don't get me wrong, this could be totally wrong and I could be totally wrong. I think they are bigger than any of the African rhinos. Especially the black rhino, because the black rhino, I think it is the smaller one. white rhinos are bigger, but I thought that the Indian rhinos were bigger or at least taller than the white rhinos, but I could be completely wrong, so if you say I'm wrong, just let me know. I don't have any problem with that. Yeah, also I do hope that I can release the next real life zoo tour on next Saturday, because I'm going to show you the safari park of San Diego, which was so cool. I had the great chance to go backstage and see the tree kangaroos there. Come very close to them and got some nice information from the keeper there. And we also managed to see the platypus, which are the only ones outside of Australia that you can find. Yeah, outside of Australia. Even in Australia, I think they are not too common in the zoos. So it was something very, very, very special, and I was so excited that I could see those animals. So yeah, the safari park in San Diego is one of my favorite zoos all over the world. If you ask me which zoo is my favorite one, I would say my overall favorite is in Europe, in Belgium, and that is Paradise, because it is just amazing. There are lots of great zoos all over the world, but Paradise is very, very, very special. It's almost like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like an amusement park, because it is so heavily themed and so perfectly themed. It doesn't feel cheesy or whatever, it's just, yeah, pretty authentic. And that's what I like about that. It is so, so cool. So if you ever get the chance to go there, you definitely should, because I think it is one of the best zoos in the world and my absolute favorite of all time. So here you can see the indoor for the building. Unfortunately, I didn't record a part of it, so you're not going to see how I create the gates for the animal, which is a pity because I put a lot of time and effort into that, but yeah, unfortunately I hit the record button but stopped recording instead of started recording it. So I'm very sorry for that. But I think you're going to see the gates in the end of the video. You will see that one gate, the one on the left side, is going to be closed, and the other side on the right side is going to be open. So the thing is that I wanted to have 3 rhinos in there. We are going to have 2 habitats. We're going to have the right one, which we are going to have a male and a female, which both of them can use that pool in here. I hope they will. And on the left one we are going to have another female that is going to be solitary in here. So or we are going to have a male on the left side. So we're going to pretend that on the one side it is mother and son. No, this would not make sense. If we have mother and son on the one side, yeah, they are going to have babies, and we are going to have mother and father on the right side and the grown-up baby boy on the left side. So there's the story for that. Okay, but we are already in the real-time part. I hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did so, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel and hit the hype button if you can. That would mean the world to me. So many more people can see my videos. Okay guys, so have a great week and see you next week. Bye!